Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today. And what we're going to be looking at today is a few extras available for you in circulation that you may not be aware of and that may make processes during the day a bit easier for you. I'm going to start off with the circulation desk area. Now, navigating through the tabs on your screen here. Generally, this is done using the mouse, so clicking on each tab to go to them, with the exception of loan and return, where you can use the Enter key to go between each of those tabs. So those of you who have come from version 3, Oliver, will be familiar with that. So it works in the same way. Now, it is also possible to type in commands to switch between the tabs. So we can type in the various commands. So we have return. So I just type it in and enter. Reserve. Book for booking. Charge for charging. History for history, and log for the transaction log, and of course loan for loans. Now I'm going to scan in a borrower. So my borrower here has some overdues. So we have the options here to click the green tick for yes, or click the red cross for no. So I can click this, or I can type in the command. So if I say yes here and enter, then that has cleared that message and we can go on with circulating to this person. Now, the last thing I can do, if I want to clear the borrower from the screen, I can type in finish and enter, and then they've disappeared there. So as it is with keyboard shortcuts, if you use those to navigate around Oliver generally, it doesn't matter whether the caps lock is on or off. You can just type in the commands and press enter. Now when you're using the circulation desk, it's very likely that you'll be using a barcode scanner to scan in your borrower barcodes on library cards and scanning the barcodes on your books to issue them. So if this scanner is handheld, you're not going to want to put the scanner down and type in the commands. Using the mouse is just as easy. Now some of you have had the Alice library system in the past, may be aware of circulation control barcodes in that system. Well, they are also available in Oliver. Now, this barcode card can be downloaded in Oliver. So if I go to my management screen, we have the option here for a printable circulation control card. Now, because this report will produce barcodes, you will need to have a particular print font for barcodes installed on the server where your Oliver system is installed, and also on the computer where you want to produce these reports. Now, we're going to look to find out how we can do this in a little while, but I want to show you what the control barcode card looks like when you get it. So this is what it looks like. So we have the different commands here. So most of the ones that I have already typed in, but they are in scannable barcode format. So if you've got the barcode scanner in your hand, just to do something with the book or the borrowers or whatever, it's easy to scan in one of these barcodes rather than putting the scanner down, picking up your mouse and clicking on a command. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my circulation desk, and I've got this card in front of me. So I've got to organise myself here. So I have my card next to me. So I'm going to go back to my circulation desk and I'm going to scan in a borrower barcode that I have. So here's my borrower. They have overdues. So to allow further loans, what I can do instead of clicking on the yes option, the tick in the message there, I can scan yes on my barcodes there. Now, I did have an alert on my borrower here, but I seem to have made it disappear. But if you have things like alerts for a borrower, so I'm just going to add an alert quickly for my borrower, and I'm going to make that appear on my circulation desk. So again, I think a lot of you are probably aware of this, but you can place alerts for borrowers via the borrower record. So this can be sent to them via email or in their search messages or via circulation desk. So I'm just going to save that. I'll go back to my borrower. I will finish her and I will try that again. So scan it in. I have my overdue message coming up once more, so I'm going to say yes, I want to be able to take out further items, and now I have the alert for my borrower. So I have a tick and a cross here. So this one, the command here is OK. So that is on the barcode card that I have. The second option here to delete, so if I were to click this would remove the alert from the borrower. So you wouldn't see this again on the circulation desk screen for this particular borrower. So that command is not actually on the command barcodes that you can print off, so I'm going to show you how to add it once you've downloaded it. So we'll see that a little bit later. So going back to this, if I want to say, yep, that's fine, I'll acknowledge it, but I want it to stay there, I can scan the yes barcode, the OK barcode, scan the wrong one, and that will remove that from our borrower there. So I'm going to try and issue an item to my borrower. So I am getting the unauthorized loan message. So again, going to our tick and our cross here, we have yes and we have no. So if I want to allow that to go out, I can scan yes. So that item has gone out to the borrower there. Now, once I've completed transactions for a borrower, I can scan finish. So if I do that, that clears my borrower. And I'm going to go to the Return tab, and I'm going to return an item here. So that item's been returned. Now, if you have a reservation that comes up against it, it asks you, do you want to send out a notice to the borrower to notify them that they have a reservation? So you would scan the yes barcode. And once a print report comes up, you can scan the OK barcode. So there's all these different commands that you can see in the tooltips for the different buttons that will tell you which commands to use. Now, if I go back to my management area, so I'm just going to go to the home page. So you have the printable circulation control card there. So if I click on that, you'll get a screen like this. So it does tell you here about the font and that having to be installed first. But to progress on, you would click the control card link, and then you would click open. Now, I already have that on my computer here, so it hasn't opened it. Now, if everything is okay, if you have the correct fonts installed, this is what you're going to get, so you can print it up. Now, if you don't have the fonts installed, this is what you're going to see. So you can see the actual commands in uppercase with the star symbols on either side. So this means that you don't actually have the correct font to use. So how you get this, if I just reduce these down, if I open up the help option, the easiest thing to do is to search for font and do that. So you have how to install the free 3 of 9 font to a local machine. So if I click on that, you have the instructions here. Now, I'm not going to go through the full instructions, but essentially what it tells you to do is that at the bottom of the help area, outside the document itself, there are 2 links here. So to download the font for Macintosh, if you use that, or to download the font for a Windows machine. So you would just click on that, and then you can see that it asks you, do you want to open it or save it? So if I just open this to show you what you'll be taken to, so these are the fonts, so you would install that. Now, you may need to have particular rights on your computer to be able to do this, so you might need local IT assistance for that. And again, the support team would probably be able to assist you as well, but IT people may need to intervene if you don't have the correct permissions to do this. Going back to the card itself, what I've seen people do in the past is that they've taken this card, they've printed it off, and they've laminated it and stuck it to the desk using blue tack. So they've got it there beside them so they can scan in the barcodes as they need to. The other thing that I've seen people do is to print it, to laminate it, and then cut the different commands out separately, and then just to paste them or blue tack them onto the top of their computer monitor, because it tended to be easier for them with the barcode scanner in hand to move towards the screen rather than to something on the desk which might be covered in paper. If your desk is like mine in the office, you've got stuff everywhere, so they are there on the screen for you to be able to use. And also, once you've downloaded and applied this font, you may want to consider printing borrower barcodes or borrower cards. Talking with my colleague Stephen about this the other day, and we came to various conclusions about this. But if you don't use barcodes and fingerprinting or other sorts of identification, you might find sometimes that if you have people with the same name, if you're typing in names, it's a bit difficult to find them on the list. So it would be a good idea perhaps to print off some barcodes for them. So going into the borrowers area, I can go to the reports, and you will see that you've got various borrower card options here. So you could print these off onto card and then cut and laminate them and then cut them up and give them to the students, or they could paste them in a homework book or something like that. So it might make it easier for those who use name to print these cards. So it will print them from the borrowers that you've got. So with the business card ones with images, if you've got borrower photographs, that will print out there. So if I'll just click go and then download that and then produce this report. You can see I've got the barcodes here for my borrowers. So it's got the library name at the top, their name and their class and their year, and then the barcode there with the number. So that's something that you might want to consider once you have the font downloaded. But once you've got the borrowers in the system, the alias, that's where you get your barcode from. So it's something to consider there. Now the other thing that I mentioned is that with some of the commands like delete, to delete an alert, that wasn't there. So I can add other entries to this card once I've printed it off. Now what I do here is I just highlight the last command that I've got, and then if I right click, I can insert rows below. And we've still got the font retained, so I'm going to type in delete. Now you're not going to be able to see it, you're going to see the barcode itself. So I need the star first, so you must have the star at the beginning, so that's Shift 8. And then I will have this in uppercase, so I'm typing in delete and then the star there. And I'll just put another carriage return there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight these and change the font to Calibri for the moment. But you can see this is what I've actually typed in. So I've found that when I've tried to create my own card without using this, it never seemed to work for some reason. So I found it easier to add my own by using the card that I produced, and I've just changed the font for the explanation for this down the bottom to Arial 14, which is what it is there. So I think that the circulation control card, if you've got that available to you, that it will make processing going through all the different areas of the circulation desk a lot faster. So all those commands, and then of course going through the different tabs there. So if I just get rid of that, so I can go through the different tabs just by scanning through the different commands there. So it just makes things so much faster, and I will clear my borrower now. So there they are, that's cleared out. You may have noticed that when I've been going through this, I have extra columns displayed. Now, until recently, you weren't able to change the display here very much. It was quite limited, but this has been expanded. So what we would use to do this is page edit. So one of the options that I added to this, if I go back to my borrower who I cleared, I've added renewals to this, and I've also added date lent and resource loan category. So what I need to do that is to go back to management and to the system area and to pages. And with page editing, I don't turn this on, I need to do a search. And what I need to search for is a page type of CircDesk. So I'm just going to type in CircDesk here, and I'm going to put a star on the end. So I'm looking for what starts with CircDesk. And I need to add, so then search for that, and then it brings up these 10 options. So most of them refer to tab, but one of them refers to borrower info. So what we're talking about is this information here. If I go into it, these are the fields that I have set up. I have already edited this, obviously, so you can restore defaults if you change your mind. But if I edit, I have the fields that are used and the fields that are not used. So I can move fields unused to used the other way back. So I might want to take out the email address if I've got it there. Take out branch if I don't want it, if I've only got one branch. Department if I don't use that. If I don't use charges, I can remove amounts owing. And then I can save that. So I could refresh this, just open it up and bring back my borrower again and scan them in. And you can see there's quite a fewer details there. So that's one thing that you can change. The other option that you can change there is to have the different columns. So I find it easier just to go back to my page list using UR here. So we're talking about the current loans tab. You've also got loan history tab there. So if I click on that and edit it, again, you can see that I've made changes to that. So I moved date lent, resource loan category and renewals from this left-hand side. So it is just a matter of highlighting the ones you want and adding it or removing it and then saving that. And then those changes will be saved. That. So there are certain pieces of information that people like to see on this screen. I find renewals particularly useful. I'm going to move away from the circulation desk and I'm going to show you something that I have been showing people when I've been doing training recently, and that is using the OPAC search for making reservations. Now, before you do this, I recommend that you check to see what you have for certain settings in your reservation parameters. So if I go to parameters and I'm looking for parameter 3201, so I can just type that in and search for it. So it's taken me to the section reservation duration default. This is set to 21 days. You may want to lengthen this because making reservations via the OPAC, via the search, you can't change the reservation duration. So this is the expiry date. So the waiting period for a reservation to be fulfilled, so to be returned or to get to a person on the queue. So you may want to lengthen this maybe to 90 days, something like that. Now, why I like using the search screen for my reservations is that if I search for an item, I'm going to search for Wimpy Kid here, you can see whether an item is available or not. So if it is available, then you can tell them check the shelf. If it's not available, then you can make a reservation for them if you have the rights, so your login is set up correctly. So to do this, if I want to reserve this for someone, I would tick next to the item and I would choose reserve. And then I go to this option here. Now, reservations depends on the person being able to take out the item and also this type of item via the resource loan category being set as reservable. So for a borrower, a librarian who's logged in, you may not be able to reserve this item. So there's something stopping it. So you're not always going to get the tick here. But hopefully, if I have the student in front of me and I want to reserve it for them, I can change to a different borrower. So I can type in the borrower's name, or I can scan in their barcode. So we can do either way. So I can choose Sue here, and hopefully I should be able to reserve that borrower item for that borrower. Now it's not allowing me to do that, and there is a reason why that is occurring, and that there is another parameter here about being able to reserve items that are available. So I'm going to search for available here. So allow reservations if any copies are available. So that's set to no. That is a newish parameter. So I'm using build 7 patch 17. So it's quite new. So 4413, allow reservations if any copies are available. So that parameter being on is stopping me. So I'm going to go to that, and I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to allow reservations for available items for the moment. So I'll just save that. So I'm going to try this again. So if I do go back to my original search, we'll see if it lets me reserve it. So now the reservation is possible because I've changed that parameter. So myself as librarian can take this item out and can reserve it, but also for my borrower who's in front of me, I can change the borrower to that student, and then here we are still able to reserve this item for this borrower, and I can save that. So that reservation has been made, and you would be able to see in the circulation and the reservations area that has been done. So we have the one reservation for our borrower here. The other things with the reservations that some of you are probably aware of is that if the expiry dates here are too short, you can extend them by a number of weeks or months or even years if you wanted to. So I could extend that for a further 3 weeks to take me up to the end of the term. So I find that doing the reservations from the OPAC makes things a lot easier because you can see whether items are available or not, and you can't see that in the circulation desk reservation process. Now, there's one last thing that I want to finish off with. Now, some of you, and again, I tell people about this a lot because it's really useful, and that is terminate loans. So to terminate the loans of borrowers who have left your school. So you can't remove borrowers if they have outstanding loans or fines. So it really is useful to be able to get rid of those. So with the circulation terminate, we've got 3 options here, but it's non-permanent loans that we can return. Just return, we can transfer them to a new borrower, or we can weed them. Now, we are in the very early stages of testing Build 8. And one of the things that's coming up in Build 8, which I know has come up in conversations, is that we have added selected loans to be returned or transferred or weeded. So with selecting loans, again, it's the same thing that we use for the reservations, for renewals or printing selected. It's your check boxes here. So that is going to be a really useful function there. and it's one of my favourite options in the circulation desk for clearing our borrowers at the end of our school year.